talk about today?
Okay.
Big breath.
Let me see.
Okay.
Okay. I want to talk about how the things that happen to us, primarily the negative things,
Okay.
the big, relationship issues, whether it's husband, kids, friends, all these like things that are out of our control that happen to ourselves.
Okay.
How do we make sure that we're conscious of the way that we are like reliving and retelling these stories?
Okay. Yes.
So I know this is kind of like work with me.
Come for the ride.
Yeah. Let me explain. So, for example, are we sharing something that happened to us with the intent of moving through it with a friend?
Mm-hmm.
Are we sharing something that happened negatively because it's now become a story that we tell so often that it's now like a part of our personality? Kind of now how we navigate that, like, and just being conscious of like, what am I actually trying to gain here? And am I actually moving through some of like these tough things that we experience in life, or am I just adding this on to the reel of like negative things that always happens to me? And is this now who I am? I'm now a person who has all these negative stories.
Yes.
And that's what makes me who I am.
Yeah, like what's
sense?
your motivation, or kind of like what are you really getting from the process of sharing or connecting with other people or sharing these parts of your life?
Yeah.
For sure. And I think we all know a person like that. Like that is literally their personality of just like, this is the problem that I'm experiencing today, or this is my health issue that I'm currently working through, or this is what, this is what's going on in my world. And it does kind of get to be a point where it's like constantly just sort of having something to tell people that's going to maybe get attention or get sympathy, or I don't know, like what that motivation is.
And
sometimes.
I think because this is something that I've been very, like, I had a friend send me a meme that said, if you share a story with more than 3 people, you're no longer looking for advice, you're looking for attention. So I was like, when I opened that, I was like,
like,
I feel attacked. But I think the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yeah, like because there are the conversations that you have, like if you have a big blowout with your teenager, which never happened to me, not even this week.
Never.
Like how many times do I need to tell that story to work through it? And how much of that is now, or is just me just going on and now making that my thing that I share with people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
there's only like a couple people that I've told that are like really, that I could share that with, that would give me solid advice. Like, you're not alone in this is an age thing, that would really help me like work through it. But I feel like if my motivation isn't to work through it, and it's just to now spread Nadia's business.
Edit out that.
Yeah.
Oh wait, she's
starting
over.
Oh wait. So we're gonna restart.
Spread. Yeah.
Okay. So I just threw that name out there. I have no relation to me or anything that's happening. It's completely unrelated.
Yes.
But how much of that is me just needing to kind of like badmouth or like kind of be in this negative space about it? And how much of me is like, no, I really need to, as a parent, work through this so that I can leave this and show up as the parent I need to be. And that's not necessarily with with just that dynamic. It's, I think, in all relationships, or different kind of like tiffs in relationships.
Yeah. Well, and like, what is it that I'm thinking about the meme? Like, I'm still kind of like running that through my head. Like, if you go to more than 3 people, you're just looking for attention. But I think that some of that too is just sort of like sometimes you have to kind of process it in different ways with different people too. And so if something is on your mind, or something that you're kind of like deep in the moment, I think it kind of comes back to examining those motivations. And it takes a lot of self-reflection to be looking at that, because when we share things with people, we're not always like super aware of what our motivations are. I'm not like, why did I overshare all of this information? You know, like okay, the way that I can kind of think about it is like when you have given birth to a baby, and then you have your birth story, right? And then it's sort of like it's like this thing that that women want to tell people about, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, is it because we can relate to each other about that? Is it because we want somebody to tell us like, wow, you did such a great job? Is it because it was just traumatic and we're just sort of having to process that? But it does take a lot of self-reflection to kind of go like, what is my motivation with that? And I think sharing is a good thing. I think it's good to share with other people and to be able to connect and be able to send the message of like, girl, like you are not alone on this, or I can completely relate to this, or oh, let me tell you about what my kid did. Not as a way of one-upping each other, but as a way of being able to just to really normalize certain things.
Right.
But I do think unless we're self-aware, we are one-upping each other, or we are not listening to one another, or we are just rehashing like the same thing over and over, hoping to get the response that validates our experience, right?
Right.
So I think it's about finding, kind of examining like what it is that I'm getting out of sharing in this particular context.
And I think too, a big red flag for me with myself is that if I'm telling a story, I mean, because obviously, like, I'm not trying to say you can never share a story from your past outside of 3 people. You know what I mean? Like, obviously,
you get 3 people, and
pick them wisely, because that's it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear about it ever again. Like, you have to work. You have to pick them wisely, and you have to work through it, because that's not, you know. But I think if you are sharing something from your past, a negative or something, and you can still, and if it brings up all those feelings and emotions to where you feel like you're still in that moment, that to me is like a red flag of like, hey, Allison, I don't think you've worked through this. Like, because there are some things, some topics, or a story that will come up years later, and depending on who I'm talking to, I'm like, your heart starts going, you start to feel all those feelings that you felt, and start to get upset, and it can even ruin the course of the rest of your day. And then I know for me, I'm like, whoa, like I haven't thought about that in a while, or I haven't really unpacked that, or so I think it's when you see that you're able to kind of relive these moments years later. Yeah. That should be like a little,
like you have not moved past this. You have not processed this. You've not resolved it. Right. It's clearly like it's part of your it's something you're still very much carrying around.
Because I do think that like it's important to share. Like even today at the gym, a group of ladies, we were just chatting. Someone had shared that they were having some, you know, just a tough time with their teenage daughter. Yeah. Then that brings the conversation. Like once that was said, I had a choice. I could have just said, wow, that's really unfortunate for you, you know. Or I did what I did and said, there, feel you, totally, you know, like, and be encouraged that it's not just you, and it's, you know, this is something we're all dealing with, or in some way, shape, or form. So I think in those moments, if you have the opportunity to like connect with somebody and kind of just reassure them that like, I get it, it's hard, it sucks, you're not alone, like that's great. And I didn't have to necessarily, you know, emotionally divulge everything that I've gone through without still letting her know, like, and if she wants to reach out and have that conversation, we can. I think it would be appropriate to do that in that scenario, maybe, but I think in me sharing that with somebody, even just that small acknowledgement, shouldn't ruin the course of my day, and it shouldn't bring me then now to a negative place and totally control my feelings and emotions for the rest of the day, because then I don't think that I worked through it myself, or that
well, I think it was like that conversation specifically, I think is an example of sharing to connect, sharing to support, sharing to just kind of get real about like things that people don't always talk about, you know. And so everyone's at a different stage in that kind of that journey of sort of like have I experienced that? Maybe I'm moving into this stage of life.
Right.
Maybe I haven't experienced these specific things, but I've experienced struggles in this kind of way. And everyone, it's kind of amazing, like when you're having those kind of conversations, because we're doing so many mental tasks at the same time. Like we're doing so many things when it comes to relating during those conversations. We're thinking about our own experiences. We're evaluating like the social dynamics of it. Like, when do I speak up? When do I listen? Who am I? Like there's like a lot that's happening all at once, right? And applying it to my life, and also kind of trying to be there to support another person who's sharing what's going on. And there's a lot of mapping that has to kind of take place in a conversation like that. And I think you're able to do that when you're able to like authentically be connecting with your own narrative. When you aren't, or you're not, you don't kind of have that sense of like self-regulation, that's when you are that person who is their entire personality, where you're just like, oh, well, let me tell you about all of my things, and it just kind of all comes spilling out, because you're sort of, you are just rehashing and needing the attention, or rehashing the same thing over and over again. So it's a balance that you have to really get to, of sort of knowing where you're going with social sharing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think just being, because it is a huge balancing act, because you don't ever want to, and I feel like I am like so hyper aware in situations like that. So I'm like, okay, let this person feel seen and acknowledged and not alone, but also don't take the spotlight and be like, oh, well, my kid, blah, 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 or my husband. Like, so I feel like in my mind, I'm always like, what do I do? You know, because I want them to, like, I know the feeling that I want this person to have, like being seen, validated, and heard, and not alone. Yeah. But also, I don't want to do the one-upper thing. Your kid did that, my kid did, like, I don't, because that doesn't help. But I also don't want to be like throwing some toxic positivity and be like, girl, you got this, pull up your bootstrap, you know, like. So it is being very aware in those conversations. And I think even just for yourself, like if you take out having to do all of that stuff, but just thinking about the types of things that you are repeating to other people throughout your week. Like, I know, you know, if I had a situation with a certain teenage daughter that I may have,
just hypothetically. Yeah. Hypothetically.
Like, obviously I can barely relate to this, but if, you know, how am I helping myself by having that conversation? You know, I've had the conversation with my husband, had the conversation with my cousin. There, you know, like, I've already had this kind of like touching base conversation. So now tomorrow, is it helping me move through to find a way to bring it up to somebody else? Is it helping, like, if I'm finding a way to work this into every conversation, it's going to consume 90% of my thoughts, my life, my mood. Yeah. And how is that going to help me actually move through it?
Yeah. And how is that going to help you attend to the heart of the issue, which is really, it's not even your problem at all. I mean, the problem is, I'm a parent, and I'm speaking in broader terms, but parenting for us is kind of a big relator, because that's such a big part of our role in life right now. But I don't think it necessarily has to just apply to parenting. Relationships, I think, are a big part of it too. But like, I have a certain amount of responsibility for a child who's mine, but they're going to make their own decisions. They're going to do their own thing. They're going to act in ways that seem completely off track from like what you thought you were doing or how you thought you were raising them. That is what they're going to do. And when you are spending all of your time, I'm not saying you're spending all of your time, but when a person is just kind of marinating in their own feelings and reactions to that event, you're really not attending to the core of the issue. Right. Does that make sense?
1,000%.
And so, like at some point you kind of have to go like, this is what's going on. This is what we're working through. This is the deal. And then you kind of have to go, okay, well, here's what we're going to do about it. These are the next steps. This is how I'm going to handle this as a parent, as a partner, as a boss, whatever, this is how I'm going to sort through this on my end, and this is where I end and the other person begins.
Right. And these are like not saying don't feel the feels, because I feel like you have to feel the feels and allow yourself the time, space, and energy to do that.
Yeah.
But I think then there has to be a action item moving forward. This is what this is going to look like, or this is the now boundary, or this is, and not staying in that I need to keep telling this story mode of like, because we're not solving any problems. We're not able to fit, like that's not moving towards healing. That's just, I want to stay here in this mess and keep reliving this, which isn't helpful to the situation if you're seeking a desired result, and it's not helpful to yourself to just carry that like hurt or pain or burden around with you unnecessarily.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to like so what do we do with that? You know what I mean? Like how do we find that balance, or how do we, like, using the meme as the example, like, do we just tell 3 people and then we kind of go, okay, we have to resolve this?
Like, that's it. That's all I got. Like, you 3, like, I have to figure it out in 3 people.
You've got 3 people. That's it.
I think, well, and I think that meme is like a good, you know, obviously it doesn't have to be like a hard 3.
I know.
But no, like, to your point, I think just being conscious of like, why am I still telling this story? Like, and just being a little bit more, because even for me, like when I read that, I was like, holy crap, like I felt like that really hit me in my feels.
Yeah.
Because you do find yourself just kind of saying things, and whether it's to fill dead space, dead time, like, but it's like, why am I choosing to, if there is a moment or like a break in conversation, why am I choosing to go there? Like, why can't, out of all the things in my life or in my experience notebook, why am I stuck on these stories?
Well, like somebody, you have all the options of your entire day. Like, how's it going, Allison? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know, and it is kind of like, why am I choosing to share this at this moment? And I think examining those motivations, like I talked about, like really kind of going like, is this doing anything for me, or doing anything for the relationship, or doing anything for you know, where we're connecting at this point?
Yeah. And it's hard when it does relate to other, to things that are going on in your life and other relationships and dynamics, because even though a situation may have happened on Tuesday, there could be follow-up things Wednesday, Thursday. So I don't want to give the impression that like I'm coming from a place, or we're coming from
like
a place of like
something and it's like,
come on, like get through it, work through it, and move on to like sunshines and rainbows. Because I know that that's not,
or like things balance out, and then your teenager does something new,
right?
You know, in the same category, but it's like, well, now that has happened,
right?
Or now we have this added to our plate, or now the car broke down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there are genuine things that kind of keep happening.
Yeah, and I think a huge portion, and something that I've had to work on consistently, is being able to remove myself from the actions of other people.
Yes.
And not taking on that everything is a personal attack, or everything is somehow related to me. Like, trust me, the decisions that teenagers make, the last thing that they're thinking of is their parents.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, I honestly, truly, because I was a teenager at one time.
What?
Very well behaved, always, of course.
Always.
So I don't really relate to this topic, but but like that was the farthest thing from my mind. It's not like I'm dishonoring my parents. I'm doing, like, it was very much living in the moment. What's right in front of me is what I'm seeing, and this is what we're doing. So there wasn't really any thought beyond that.
Yeah.
So I think in parenting, being able to remove myself from like, this situation is a personal attack, to just saying like, this is you being a human, making mistakes, and this is the route that you're taking for this season, hopefully. And that's okay. And like, obviously there's still consequences and things that, but
But it's not, why are you doing this to me?
Right.
Why are you destroying our family? Like,
Right.
that is you. That's
Right.
about what's going on with you. And it really isn't the motivation. It's affecting you.
Right.
It's affecting your family. But
And
it's
acknowledging
not.
that is important.
Yes.
But I think what I'm, and even just with this whole topic, is thinking more of in the future, right? Like, so obviously if when you're in the moment of something, it's very real, it's very emotional, there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
But a week out, 2 weeks out, a month out, like, am I still telling this story? Am I still relating to this story and bringing up the emotions of what happened?
Yeah.
As if it happened yesterday. Like, and I don't think that's healthy for me. I don't think it's healthy for my relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to kind of think of, like, what is my need to keep retelling this story?
Mm-hmm.
What am I getting out of it? Am I just, everybody's looking at me now, I'm in the room, am I like victim number one?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it? You know, because I feel like I am trying to be more conscious of, like, when I share something, it's to move through it and to truly move through it. You know, not feel like if I tell it to 50 more people, that's going to be me moving through it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. And if you are sharing with that many people, you're probably not really, like, listening to what anybody else has to say about it anyway. You know what I mean?
Woo! Like, you need to get that fan taking us to church. Where's that hat? Put that hat on, girl.
I need my church lady hat on for sure today for this topic.
I was trying to convince Liz that she did look cute in hats, and she swore up and down that she looked like a church lady who was feeling the Holy Ghost.
I got my sweater on. I am telling you. Maybe we'll show you a picture. We might
have to put that bit, and then we'll see what the people think.
Yeah.
Should Liz incorporate hats into her life, or should she?
Okay, you be the judge.
Yeah.
We want to hear from the outer circle on. I can tell you what the answer is going to be.
I thought it was cute.
So,
but
stay tuned.
Yeah, we will revisit. We will be revisiting that after the topic concludes.
Yes. So when we wrap up, follow-up will include, is Liz a hat lady? The answer will be no.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I'm not going to sway any opinions.
I think she could pull it off. But
I love it. I like talking about this kind of stuff. I think it's important to talk about the things we talk about, because it does kind of prepare us for processing things when we are processing them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, yes. I think it's a good thing to do some examining when you're away from it, when you're not in the midst of your chaos or what's going on or the drama of a moment, because you do kind of get to what's the word? I can't think of the word, but like you get to kind of objectively sort of take a look at, like, how do I approach these types of topics, and in what ways does that meet my needs? In what ways does that help me or hold me back? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and Saved by the Bell. As always. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I feel like it was like that topic is like big and heavy and kind of like weird, because I understand that's a lot of like work to ask somebody to do. And it's just something that has been going on with me lately, something that I've shared, and just wanting to be really more present. Like, I don't want to be so wrapped up in my own feelings and emotions that I'm not being the partner that I need to be. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be so wrapped up in feeling like everything my teenager does is a personal attack, that I can't be the mom that she needs me to be if she's going through something. So, or the friend that I need to be. I think it's really easy to get in that mode of, this is all happening to me. Everything that is a personal attack on me. Mm-hmm. And I just want to be able to show up in my relationships in a different way. And so that's been heavy on my heart. So whether or not that connects or resonates with anybody, I don't know. But this is just what's happening, okay, guys? It's just where I'm at. Next week we can talk about something totally a lot lighter and more fun.
You just never really know what we're going to be feeling on a certain day.
Yeah.
Where the conversation's going to go. But that's what is fun about it.
Yeah. And I blame Liz because she told me, she was like, you determine the topic today. I was like, well.
I gave it to her.
Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at.
So I put on my church lady hat and I said, let's go.
She really did. She really did. But as always, we thank you guys for joining us with these, you know, conversations that we have. And some, you know, I hope that it resonates with, you know, you guys. And let us know, obviously, in the comments, like, if this is something you feel, if this is asking too much of people in relationships. Let us know what you think. Because, as always, your view and what you're going through is important to us. And how this connects with you is obviously super important. So
yes.
Let us know in the comments. And as always with the outer circle,
if you're feeling out, you're in. Here we are.
The moment you've all been waiting for. Can Liz wear a hat without looking like a church lady?
I will be a blank slate. I will not try to influence this in any way. I'm just going to wear the hat and you be the judge.
Okay.
I will not be hurt or offended.
Liz, pumpkin spice queen.
Where's my latte?
I know. You need like a little something. Or catching the Holy Ghost at church. Let us know what you think.
Let us know. I think I know what the answer is.
I think I know what the answer is. And we have different opinions. All right, let us know what you guys think.